Hi, kids. What's for dinner?
Good evening and welcome back again to EndGame, your companion to Apple TV's hit series Severance. I'm your host, Jambone S, and with me is your co-host, Misha R. Both of us are huge fans of the show, and we're here to help you manage your work-life balance, keep your innie in and your outie out, and always win the waffle party. Misha R, are you going to tell everyone how you're doing?
I am indeed. I have a question for you first, Jambone S. Do you know how to make your eyes kind? Can you make your eyes kind now? Folks at home, can you make your eyes
Oh, it's way
kind?
harder when you try to think about it.
Right, isn't it?
I can see, because I can see myself right now. I'm like, what? Dude, those aren't kind. Those are mean.
Okay, but then try to act like you're struggling to make them kind, like he was trying to do as an actor on the show. I'm saying, and so anyway. But please make your eyes kind at home. I have something to say, and that is the following. Forgive me for the harm I have caused the world. None may atone for my actions but me, and only in me shall there stay and live on. I am thankful to have been caught, my fault cut short by wizened hands. All I can be is sorry, and that is all I am. Because you see, my friends, this is the second time we're recording this podcast. Something went wrong, and it was unfortunately my end is pretty much everything is here, and he's just there doing his thing. But yes, so this is 105 Redo. So with that said, and it only took me 15,000 times to say that before I could get that emotion in my voice, so. All right, so how are we going to now? Okay, so in the process of having to redo this in the couple of days we've thought about it and we've pondered it, and there's going to be a new take.
Yeah.
Wait, no, because I haven't done my thing. Because we're on YouTube now, folks. We're on YouTube now. This is like our fifth thing on YouTube. So please click the like button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, tell your friends too, because we really want to get this thing going. We were doing audio podcasts for like 8 years and we flipped over to YouTube and now we're trying to build, I always keep wanting to say listeners, but it's viewers now. And I'm looking right at the camera and it's really freaking weird. Anyway, all right. With that said, and there's, I'll tell you at the end of the show, all the stuff that we do here at EndGame. But because this is the redo of 105, I'm sure we want to get right to the point. So, Jambo, tell us what's new in this new take versus the old take.
So we might have some new viewers, listeners, but for the old folks, we always try to make it like real conversation. Misha and I never share information ahead of time. Like full disclosure, there are going to be some, takes that I discovered in the last discussion that I'm going to be recycling here. But I actually redid the notes in a totally different way so that hopefully we can explore the episode in a new way and have a fresh discussion. And maybe we'll learn some new things. And maybe
it's only going to be fresh for you and I. Keep that in mind. Because what happened rendered the other podcast and even the audio of it. If it had just been the video, I would have thrown up the audio and that would have been fine. But the audio was utterly unlistenable because two microphones were on and they were just a little bit apart. So you couldn't hear. You couldn't understand a damn thing. So it's only going to be a fresh discussion for us. Hopefully it'll be a good discussion for the viewers at home.
Yeah. So we are talking about Severance Season 1, Episode 5, The Grim Barbarity of Optics and Design. Misha, do you like that title?
I do like that
title. Oh, do you like that? I also like that title. That's
my God.
See, this is why it doesn't work. I'm just kidding. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. In the last podcast, people, so you get that joke. We both really liked that title.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of the episode that we're talking about, just so you know. Maybe you haven't watched the episode in a while, so you'll know which episode we're talking about. But fair warning, in this discussion, we might mention things that happen in episode 8 or episode 9. Or,
even more than that, we're bringing to our analysis of everything that happens in every episode, like the full season's worth of knowledge and awareness, so we can look back at previous episodes like now or even earlier and say, oh, that makes sense given what we know happens in episode 8 or 9 and things like that. So we don't shy away from that. If you have never seen it, you have to go see it because it's a great show. And this will make no sense and it will ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it in a while, might be good to refresh your memory. I mean, because what the hell? It's a great rewatch. We're doing it. I'm loving it.
It is. I'm going to say it's better on second viewing.
Oh yeah. It's one of those that, because you see more and you think about it more. So anyway, get on it and then come back if you haven't seen it, and then otherwise, let's go.
Cool. All right. So the episode we're talking about is season 1, episode 5, and this is what happens in the episode. A real quick synopsis, just to remind you. Mark finds Helly hanging in the elevator. Say that 5 times fast and then get depressed. Cobell tries something new with Miss Casey. Mark visits the happy couple at the birthing cabin. Irving finds the odd paintings. Irv and Bert go get closer despite Dylan's interventions. Mark and Helly find the goats. Irv and Dylan find the other members of O and D. Yes. So hopefully that reminds you of the episode we're talking about. And we are now going to talk about it. So, Misha, in the interest of mixing things up and doing things different than last time,
yes,
I actually want to just start with the goats. So, one of the big things that happens in the episode is that Mark and Helly find the goats.
Okay, yes, that is correct.
Lying.
What?
Misha, this is where you say that they're not goats. Go ahead.
Oh, they are goats, though. That's the thing. I'm not gonna. I googled.
Oh, is that so? Is that really why the podcast failed?
No, because I'm good. No, I'm good enough.
I think I see what's going on here.
I could have taken that out or dubbed it over.
Here.
No.
Misha can never be wrong.
No.
So
I don't. Well, that's true, but I don't need to kill the whole podcast to change that. That's the point.
Okay. So just Misha, to explain to the listener the joke.
I thought they were lambs. That's the joke. I thought they were lambs. I thought they were going bad.
You didn't see those two like pokey things coming out of their heads?
I don't know. By the time I was
so Misha, when a man goat and a mama sheep love each other very much, and then
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've had enough fun with this. Let's move on.
Well,
all right. We'll talk more about the goats.
You're really pigeonholing those goats into gender roles there, JM.
oh, yeah. Very good. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to kind of do the episode and we're going to go through the episode and things that happened and discuss them. Misha, did you notice when Grainer passes the chip to Cobell, he says, "That's Petey." On my second rewatch, I kind of took that line maybe to mean like in a Westworld sense that maybe that chip is Petey. Like it's Petey. That's not Petey's chip. That is Petey.
Well, it would be sort of in the same sense as Westworld, but also a little bit different. In Westworld, they have those spheres that were whatever the host was, and they could put it in different bodies. In this sense, I think it's more like either he's shorthanding it, and this is Petey's chip, and just saying this is Petey, or I think what you're saying is the chip itself has sort of absorbed Petey's like personality and stuff. So
I'm throwing that idea out there.
Yeah. I definitely, when I heard that, every time I've heard that line, because I've seen this episode a bazillion times now, I've thought that as well. I've thought that line could be taken 2 different ways. It's one of those things where it definitely could be, and it's within the realm and the scope of sort of a broader interpretation of what the chip is and what it can do. I don't think that at this point we've seen any hard evidence that it does operate in that way or sort of in that direction, if you will. You know, it's doing what it's doing, and I don't think it's in a gathering state necessarily. I mean, we may get information that changes, you know, my take on that, but right now I don't think we know enough to say that. But it's certainly intriguing in this, you know, at some point when we do realize that it does, we'll look back and say, oh, they were foreshadowing in episode 5. So very much could be. Oh!
You're on TV.
Oh.
Okay.
One of mine was here too. Damn.
Okay, so the next shot I want to talk about is Mark. It's the morning. Helly's in the elevator, or was in the elevator the day before, and that's all going on. Mark finds Dylan reading the book. So the book is like being passed around. They're like stealing it from Mark's desk, reading it, and putting it back in Mark's desk.
Yeah, it seems
What's going
like
on with that?
It's not like quite like they're deliberately passing the book around, but they're kind of like swiping it and reading it when they can and returning it to wherever, I guess, in Mark's folders and things like that. Now there's something, again, if we're gonna have to do this, there was something that got mentioned on the other pod. Are we even gonna go back and talk about Helly? Because there's an important point about her in the elevator that needs to be.
No, we're gonna go over all the beats. Okay, I'm not gonna. Okay. I'm just doing it a different order to see if we maybe discuss things differently. Okay. So here is the one thing that's going to be very different from the first take is I think this episode is the tell that it's a lot of what we're seeing is performative for the main 4. I think the book was intentionally left there for them to find. I don't think Milchick just left it sitting around in a random chair. I think it's all a game. It's all a test. Do you think Milchick just left it sitting there?
What was the reason that was given? Was he distracted? Do we know, or did it just show up?
No, there's no reason been given. All of a sudden, just one day.
I mean, given what we know about what comes out of the printer and everything that's behind that.
Yeah, I think it's another 626.
I mean,
people that haven't seen the episode yet.
Well, you shouldn't be watching if you haven't seen the episode yet.
Yeah.
So I have no pity for you. Okay. Welcome to EndGame Podcasts, where we have no pity for our viewers.
Or ourselves.
Well, I mean, at least it's fair, right? That's the only way to do it, that it's fair. There's my little script from the compunction ceremony. All right, so this is an intriguing and requires some deep thought, this idea. So always, if they're going to do something like that, you have to ask why. So why would Milchick leave that there for the innies to find?
Okay, so I kind of think they're just fucking around. Like when he says later in the episode, Milchick he prints those pictures for them to find. And Cobell's like, did you do a 626? And that means he sent the pictures for Irving to find. Like, I think they're just like fucking with him. I don't think the experiments have like a ton of real meaning. It's just like, let's just see what happens if we show them this book or if we show them these paintings. Like, it just seems kind of meaningless.
Well, I mean, I will grant you that there is a seat of the pants quality to the way Milchick kind of did that, and the way that Cobell seems to be kind of running the Mark Gemma operation, right? Like, because she's like, she's calling a lot of audibles. Right? Okay, I mean, that's the thing. And in some
I don't think Lumen is well managed. I think that's going to be like the big reveal. Like, Lumen is a mess.
Oh, well, shit, dude. I mean, you know, how much Reddit have you seen? There's some theories
Not
about
a lot. I don't Reddit.
Reddit is the gold mine. Reddit is.
And okay, so what is Reddit saying in regards to this topic?
Well, not in regards to like the management of Lumen. But anyway, let's stay on target, which is, now see, we've lost it, but it was good. Oh, well,
The target is that I like. I'm thinking maybe just like a lot of the things we
bullshit.
see in this episode are games.
Yeah,
so
she's calling a lot of audibles, and it's crazy. But at the same time, you can't deny the fact that Lumen's a big corporation, so they must be doing something right and getting something going. And Milchick, Milchick does actually say why he did this. This wasn't just because, I'm bored and it's a Tuesday afternoon. I think I'll run a 626 on someone. Oh, Irving, let's do that just for shits and giggles. No, he said he was trying to do that to dissuade Irving from interacting so much with OND, meaning they know every time Irving and Bert meet because they see it in whatever monitor or something. And that's clearly something that Milchick, representative of Lumen Management, wants to have avoided or minimized. And so he thought by running a 626, which I guess is sending some image to the printer accidentally, he would do that. And he says as much to Cobell. So it's not totally out of his ass. A lot of the Cobell stuff seems much more seat of the pants and out of her ass than this particular thing by Milchick.
So you think Cobell is more just like off the rails and just, going a little bit crazy. There's a crazy factor, and I think Cobell is crazy in the way, and we know what she's crazy about. She's got the shrine to Kier in her house. I think she thinks she knows better than Lumen's management, which we've kind of talked about, and they've shown evidence in the discussions between Bert and Irving when they're talking about, like we did it the other week. I'm a first edition man, right before all the changes came in. That the changes were more to support the corporate structure than the first edition where Kier was like, my children and my employees, and we'll all live together as one, and everyone will cooperate and stuff like that. And now it's like you will not use your desk as a bed or whatever the fuck it is. So I mean, Cobell is a super hardcore fanatic, and I think she thinks she knows better than Lumen now what the true mission and the true vision and the true thoughts of Kier are. That's just totally my out of my ass, seat of my pants hot take. Yeah, and what I like about it is what I hope the show explores is the idea of middle management thinking they know better than upper management, because that is a real dynamic that takes place in probably every workspace.
For sure. And the thing is that oftentimes they do. Right? Because oftentimes it's upper management that's more out of touch. The closer you are to the ground, the more realistic picture you have of what's going on in most organizations, in most situations.
So can I tell you something like cynical that I've come to learn, or not learn, but feel recently, is that middle management feeling that what's better, it's the middle management person thinks they know what's better because they think they can actually enact change. Upper management just knows, no, just got to go along to get along. And the difference between the two isn't that one knows and one doesn't. It's just that the upper management has already learned that, no, change isn't going to happen. Just fucking do the day-to-day. Does that make sense? You know what I'm getting at?
Well, I mean, change is one thing. Just doing the day-to-day is the job of middle management. I'm basically kind of echoing the idea that like any good salesman or any good person who wants to, get to the levers of power in any office goes to people like the secretaries, okay? And then there's, of course, the dictum that everybody should always follow. Never, ever, ever piss off your IT person.
Oh, yeah. No, the secretaries, the IT, custodians, I don't know what kind of...
Right? Dude, I mean...
You gotta be cool with those
people who actually do things and actually have skills, right? And who you need for all the stuff you rely on and don't even think about, like toilets and email.
Yeah. The people that are actually getting something accomplished each day, yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so let's get to Helly. Mark finds Helly. She goes up in the elevator. So
Audi Helly gets the sensation of hanging when they have that shot and the door's open and she's up there and there's no security guard there because I guess it's after 5 o'clock. That's Audi Helly who's being hung right there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a murder up there and a suicide down there. Think about that.
Yeah. So, and that was a great catch by you in the last podcast. And I really do like thinking about the fact but does any Helly know that she got a shot in? We keep talking about it. It's like the shot, right? Like, does any Helly know that Audi Helly for a second was like, oh my God. Fuck,
I think so because, okay, so this is how well I've watched these episodes so many times. So she comes out, Grainer goes up and very easily unties her and gets the noose off her head. It's like totally a bad continuity thing because they show it with a really pretty tight knot and he just reaches up and grabs it and all of a sudden it's off her neck. They lay her out. Mark-ass is looking down at her. Any Mark is looking down at her. And she makes this weird smile and I've always wondered why is she smiling right there? That's why you just pointed out to me obviously why. She knows she got the hit in.
Okay.
I think. That's how I read that now. That's how I read that enigmatic smile that I never could figure out. And it was always there staring me in the face because,
Yeah, because I guess any Helly hangs herself, blacks out, all of a sudden is still hanging herself, and she knows that she got one in the time. Right. Okay, cool.
If she's in the elevator going up, blacks out, and then comes to in the elevator going down, she knows. Right?
So there's another moment that I found weird here. Grainer is running down the hall. They're like this. We see him. He's running. Something important is he knows something bad has happened. And then Mark yells help, blah, blah, blah. And then Grainer finds her hanging and it's God damn it. He's all mad. Did he not know? I thought he saw it on a camera and ran down there.
I think he's mad.
Then he seems surprised when he's mad that Mark's there. Okay, well, say more on that. What's going on there?
Oh, I mean, it's just more mess to clean up. Okay, because now they have to deal with Mark as well. If Mark wasn't there and didn't see it, they'd just be dealing with her. Right, but now Mark's there. His whole experience, everything like that for his innie and all that trauma and the whole thing, and dealing with him, and then what's he going to tell other people, and then their interaction.
You know what? You're right because the first thing Grainer does is fixes the elevator so Audi Mark won't notice anything. The first thing Grainer does is he takes the shit down and fixes the elevator so Audi Mark when he goes back up. Yeah. Okay. Is it just a coincidence that the guy at the top wasn't there to see Ellie hanging? Because Ellie goes up, nobody's there. Elevator goes back down. Helly.
I think that's just coincidental. I think that's about them staggering their departures, right? Staggering the departures of the Audis. And some people leave after 5 o'clock, and I guess after 5 o'clock, the guard's not there. Because no one's coming in anymore, so what do they need the guard for, I guess?
Okay, speaking of that, this is something I keep meaning to bring up. When we see Mark leave, which we've been told is 5:15.
Yeah.
The entire parking lot is deserted.
Oh, I think...
That ring is weird to you?
I think Mark, as department head, might be leaving later. He might be the last to leave, he's the first to
So Innie thinks it's 5:15, but really maybe it's later than that?
No, I think Innie knows what time it is. I think he's just leaving later or something. I don't know. Or maybe Lumen's believe me, I've worked in places. Dude, I worked at a place that had you had to punch in and punch out, right? It was on a computer, but you still had to do it. There would always be 10 people around the terminal waiting for 4:49, 5 o'clock, punch out, boom. People who want to bail. So maybe they all just bail. It's a little weird that there's no cars there at 5:15, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're making a point. I'm not sure what it is.
I hope it's not that it's because they were filming during COVID. I just hope it's not that.
It might be. Because it would take a lot to fill that parking lot with cars to make it look like it was.
Yeah. All right. Anything more about the? I don't want to say this casually, but hanging Helly.
Hanging Helly. Hanging Helly. No. I think the main thing is that she got the hit in.
Yeah. So Mark comes back the next day, immediately met by Koble and Milchick. As soon as he comes down the elevator, and they give him like a lecture. They make it seem like it's his fault. This happened on his watch.
Mm-hmm.
I like the line, you can thank Kier that it went the way it did. So they really like, Kier is God down there.
Well, that's a Koble thing to say. I don't think I've ever heard Milchick say that. I don't think I've ever heard Grainer say that or anything like that. Those lines are always Koble lines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because as we said before, she's the true believer. She's got the shrine in her house. She is the light, the truth, and the way.
You bring up the shrine, and I'm buttoning my lip. I'm not talking about it till we get to it because I'm
pointing out the fact that she's got that. We can discuss it then, but spoiler, she's got a shrine to Kier in her house, but a Kier and other weird shit too. But the fact that she's got that is what I'm using to say she's the true believer, and all those lines that quote Kier, everyone who says, "Oh, you can thank Kier for this or thank Kier for that," that's always Koble. Nobody else is saying that.
Yeah. It was also paired with have a productive day.
Productive.
I know most people say have a good day, but this, the theme again of that, when you're at Lumen, your job is to be productive. Like
when you're an innie, that's your whole life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Okay, so let's talk about Rickon. Let's talk about the birthing cabin. Let's talk about the book, because we always got to talk about the book. My favorite thing about this show. I'm going to start with my favorite thing, so I don't forget it. I think one of the greatest things about this show is that Mark, the main character, Mark is birthed. He knows nothing. He's a noob in this, world. And then a really, really shitty book is what sets him free. I think this is one of like the greatest writing devices of all time. So I just want to get that out in front. But also,
just on that note, it's not just Mark, right? I think it's for all of them. Because look at the way Dylan and Irving all respond to it too. Helly, not so much. She's got the rebellious spirit. I think Helly is a little bit different. But for the three of them who have been there a while, this all comes as a revelation. For sure, the show focuses on Mark for obvious reasons. What is it that you think, Jambo, whichever monitor I have you up in, what's the point they're trying to make with this?
Jambo.
Do you?
You usually remind me. No, that's on me, not you.
We're not redoing this the third time, especially for that.
We are not. I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine while I answer this question.
Fair
enough. So, what is the point they are?
You're just a critical drinker ripoff if you're doing that.
I'm just trying to get into the Mark S. Audi frame of mind.
Audi frame of mind. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just doing my Audi thing. I mean, I did clock out literally 5 minutes before we started this podcast.
Okay.
Okay. So, I think the point they're trying to make is that the book is designed for people of low intellect and low experience, and the people that live innies have not low intellect, but they have low experience. So when they read this book, it's like a kid reading Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yep.
right? They're like, oh my God, this is all so mind blowing. You know, like I had these moments too when I was younger, and I like read something and I thought it was the most mind blowing thing ever, and then I go back and I was like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing.
Anything you care to share?
No, I'm not. No,
No,
no, because I don't want. It might be someone's favorite book, and I don't want them to stop.
It's someone else's favorite book. That's not your cup of meat.
You know, so I like, but I just think it's a really cool device. I also want to keep on the shelf that I think there's something going on with Rickon's followers, the people that come to his party. I think there's also something going on with them that says something about the world that this all takes place in. So I want to put a pin in that too.
I want to circle back while we're talking about the book real quick. This is according to the Severance Wiki. This is what the Severance Wiki says regarding the book's appearance on the severed floor. Following Helly R's failed attempt to escape the severed floor, the book is forgotten by Milchick and is soon discovered by the macrodata refinement team.
So there was something that distracted him that made him run away and just leave it there.
Helly R's failed attempt to escape is what they say was the thing that distracted him. So
okay.
So
at
least something is offered as a reasoning there. Yeah, I don't think. Okay, so again, it's season 1, and there are so many interesting characters that we sit here and like we think about, and we have to give pause to, and all of them could be very, very important, and some of them could be more important than others. Milchick is another one. He's very enigmatic, but I would say that he is someone who, while I think he enjoys his job. Like, he likes having that power over the innies, and he likes being able to sort of mind fuck them. I don't think he's one to go off the reservation in doing so. He's got plenty of ways to do it already. He's got the fucking break room. What does he need to come up with? Run a rogues 262 on Irving from macrodata refinement. This is fucking Milchick, man. He doesn't need to do that shit. He can go. He can go right to the break room.
So this is a really great point that you bring up. What is Milchick getting out of his job?
A paycheck.
Is he just getting a paycheck?
No. I think clear. I think he's getting more out of it in a.
He likes owning people.
Well, he just. I don't know. Obviously, and I don't want to get too nuanced because there's not that much information.
No, get too nuanced.
Well,
Come
but
on,
just because there's not that much information. But I think that he. Oh, that was that. I shouldn't. No, okay, I'm not going to make that comparison. He likes the degree to authority that he has, right? He gets a certain psychological bump, if you will, from, knowing that, okay. So here's a classic example. He ran a 626 on Irving. Now, I don't know how granular 626 means. So let's just means it's the old Xerox machine. Send something to the Xerox machine. In this case, he sent something that was Irving specific to the thing he explained to Cobell about. Well, I didn't want him hanging out with Bert so much, or he was hanging out too much with Bert. We know that. We didn't want that. I thought this might dissuade him. Yes, that's all by the book. And I don't think Milchick will ever not do something by the book where Cobell might and probably is already. But I think within that context, he got a kick out of doing it. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's going to conflict with some of my theories that we're going to get into later on. But it's a good theory.
He's a company man. He's a sick fuck. He's a company man. He's kind of like Robert Shaw in From Russia with Love, right? Not like he's the trained killer, but he's like the operative. He's like the strong arm, but. And he's
cold and silent as that Robert Shaw character.
Right. And he takes delight and pleasure in his job and in a job well done, but he's always going to do what he's told. I think.
So some other things about the book. Mark reads the book. bullies are just bull and lie. You know, so it's got all these like things. Your work needs you more than you need the work, and that, I think that might be one of the messages that really gets through to Mark. But like any Mark is like really like profoundly moved by this.
Well, this one too. A good person will follow the rules. A great person will follow himself.
Oh, was that in the book?
Yeah.
I think that's actually a good line.
Yeah, every now and then there is a good one.
Yeah. Even a broken watch, Rickon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so since we're on Rickon, let's talk about the cabin. Okay. The birthing cabin. You have got new thoughts? I hope you have new thoughts.
New thoughts on the birthing cabin? No, I think it's probably going to be pretty static on the birthing cabin. Okay. I'm just trying to think again. I think there's more to Rickon. I don't think he's a successful author. We can do the rich debate, and talk about, this is Rickon's 5th book, but like they're not rolling in dough like you would think, and the whole self-published thing. But I still think that in some way Rickon is going to be more central than he seems right now.
I definitely agree. I think Rickon might be like the Messiah at the end of all this, in a totally fucked up world. Okay, so in the last episode, so we've established that birthing cabins do exist in real life.
And that kelp can be used but isn't hung. It's placed elsewhere.
Oh, yeah. So this episode with the birthing cabins, this TV show, I think is making fun of the type of people that would go to birthing cabins, right? If they actually do exist in real life, they didn't just invent these. So what if you were going to have 2 characters that would go to a birthing cabin, what are you trying to say about those characters? Put yourself in a writer's shoes, Misha.
Well, I think yes. I think for most people, even for most people, I would think, but I don't know. Just to hear the phrase birthing cabin, that's like menstrual hut, right? Almost, right? Birthing cabin. What does that conjure up? It's either something really luxurious or something really primitive, maybe. I don't even know. But yes, they use 2 extremes because remember, the rich lady is going to the birthing cabin, right? She's got a really lush.
Why is she even there? Because she's severed. Why isn't she just in a bathtub at a hospital if she's not even going to remember it? Why sever yourself and go to a birthing cabin? That's fucking redundant.
That's a good question.
Sorry, I'm yelling. It just came to me just now. That's why I'm yelling. I'm not yelling at you, Misha. Sorry.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, it does seem a bit redundant, but I guess if you're rich, maybe it's more for him at that point. He wants to be in a comfortable place. He doesn't want everything at home and have to clean out the bathtub at the end.
More for him. Yeah.
But nonetheless, she's there. Okay, so if the writers are saying something, they're saying that's one type of person. The other type of person is Rickon, because remember, it's 400% Rickon's idea. The birthing cabin. Okay, it's not Devon's idea. It's Rickon's idea. So they're saying it's either you're rich or you're kind of Rickon screwball, maybe if they're saying anything at all. What else do you think?
Okay, so you picked up on this that Devon, Mark's sister, mentions multiple times that the cabin next to hers is nicer. She's like, we're in the affordable cabin. She's like, I'm going next door to the really rich cabin. Like they make a real point of explaining that person is rich and that Devon and them are not. I mean, I think if you can afford a birthing cabin, you're at least somewhat rich. I don't know rich what the word is, but they make a real point of explaining that next door neighbor is really rich. Devon mentions it multiple times.
She asks the woman outright when she's getting the coffee, "Are you rich?"
Which is what I love about Devon. I love that. I want to be best friends with Devon. The type of person that would be like, "Are you really rich?" Like Devon and I would get along so well. I want to be Devon's best friend. So it's like, so I think this is kind of making fun of, like yuppies, hippie liberals. Like, if you go to a birthing cabin, you're like a hippie liberal yuppie, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would tend to think it's like either you got the money or you got the Rickon vibe, and you really want to do it because it's whatever. It's the place to hang your kelp. Now, I don't know this to be a fact, but as we speculated in the last podcast, maybe at those kinds of places, let's just imagine it's like a small little resort, and there's little cabins around a central thing, and there's a couple of big suites like the rich lady has in the main building, wherein also there may be a centralized, one medical facility, like with a doctor on, just in case everyone with their doulas and their midwives or something, in case someone has an actual thing that requires Western medical intervention, it's there for them too, and that might be something that is a benefit of doing to a retreat versus just staying at home.
Okay, so Misha, you are not a March Madness guy.
No.
But I want to just explain March Madness to you really.
Oh, I know what it is. Thank you.
So there's basketball team. No, I don't. I'm going to explain something to you that you might not know. To win a March Madness pool, you need to make a kind of a long bet. If you bet on Houston that everyone thinks is going to win, you're not going to win because like hundreds of other people have also bet on Houston. You need to make long, you need to make hard bets, right?
Right.
So I am going to make a long bet against you in that fashion, because if I'm going to win, I'm going to win big. You are pretty staunchly saying that Rickon's book is self-published. Will you go on the board with that?
No, I thought we were just using that sort of as the shorthand of someone of the kind of caliber that we were painting Rickon to be, given the fact that now on his fifth book, they're in the small cabin, and all of those other things. And I think those are the points that I've been using to shorthand him by saying, he said he's the kind who would be self-published. I'm not saying he definitely is self-published.
Okay, so you're not willing to like make a bet
whether he's self-published or not?
Because I'm willing to make a bet that he is actually published and a big deal in the real world.
Oh, that he is a big deal in the real world? Well, then why don't they have any money?
I think they do. I think they're still. I think Devon, when she says like, "Are you rich?" she means really rich. They're at the same place where a rich lady gives birth, but they're just in the nicer hotel room. If I'm at the same hotel room as Donald Trump, he's in the penthouse, but I'm in the hotel, I'm still rich.
Well, I mean, there could be an order of magnitude difference between your average.
Hey, dude, you're pushing back. It seems like you want to bet. Let's go.
No, dude. I mean, why are you making such a big deal about a trivial point? Fine, okay, he's a big deal in the real world. That's fine. I just don't think he sells very much because he doesn't have any money. That's all. I mean, why did you find some little thing? You're trying to do a gotcha thing?
No.
Okay.
It's like you don't even know me at all. Jesus Christ. Like, no, I want to make a bet with you. I think this is about the show. I think in the reality of the Severance universe, I think Rickon is a published author. You think he's self-published. I want to put it on the scoreboard. So when one of us turns out to be correct. If you want me to take
that position for the sake of having a bet, I will. Okay, but
my God!
But again, I never said.
No, I don't want it. If you're going to say it like that, if you're going to say it like that, no, I'm
that's
not
what it is. Because you're trying to force me to take a position that I simply said I was using as a shorthand for. I don't think he's that big of a deal in the real world. I don't know whether he's self-published or not. He seems to me like the type who would be self-published. We can bet about that. We can bet about whether he's a big, a big in the real world. Because even with all his followers, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So let's move on to the next topic. Okay, so Helly is back at work, and Miss Casey...
Wait, hang on something. I just noticed something we missed both times in the birthing thing. There was the discussion of, and I'm going to redo my great writing example as well. There was a discussion about giving the baby the middle name Gemma. And Mark didn't really want that.
Oh, right. We didn't talk about that.
We didn't talk about that last time either, so we'll catch that this time. So
I think I get why Mark would say that to Rickon. That's kind of harsh to Devon. Like he's basically saying that's harsh. If I'm putting myself in Mark's shoes, or I'm putting myself in Devon's shoes. If I was having a kid and I said hey, I want to honor my what it would be, brother-in-law or sister-in-law or whatever, and it got shot down, that's pretty cold. There's actually a lot of moments. They're little, and so I don't have enough evidence, but there are a lot of moments where I think Outie Mark is kind of a dick.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of evidence that, the date. He's a complete douche on the entirety of the date. But I think that he just can't get over it. I mean, we see him going by the gravesite. There's this, it's a tough call. I think that because it's his wife and that's how the connection to the family is, I think it's appropriate for them to ask him. And should he, as he has done, choose to say, no, I would rather you didn't, I think they need to honor that. Okay? If it were Devon and Mark's grandmother, and Mark had this great relationship and really missed her, and it would be oh so painful, I think Devon would be on much better ground saying, we're going to do it anyway because it's my grandmother too, but it's his wife, right? And it would be always there in his face, which is sad, but, he's 2 years on. So, I mean, grief is a horrible thing and everyone is different. So
here's a less example. Me and Mrs. Jambone are having a baby, and I go to you and I say, we're going to name it Misha. And you say, no, don't name it Misha.
Well, if it's a girl.
I mean, I know you would be into it, but imagine saying no.
That's not the same thing at all. It's the dead.
How is it not?
Because that's me. I can say yes or no. You're talking about someone's dead spouse that was the love of the universe, as we talked about last week. They're supposed to be this amazing couple, and everything was great, and it was so tragic, and he's utterly distraught. And then he's got to go around with his niece or nephew.
I can see not wanting every time he saw the niece to have to think about the ex. Okay. That's a good point. There
you go.
That's a good point. Okay. Anything more about the birthing cabin?
The thing that I pointed out was just some freaking great writing. So
yeah, do this bit again. This bit is good.
This really hit me, you guys. So they're in the cabin, and Rickon's hanging the fucking kelp, right? And even at some point, I'm not sure if it's about this. It is about the kelp. He's like, do you really want me to explain? And Mark's like, no. So even Rickon knows, what kind of a douchebag he really is. He's like, do you really want me to even explain? But they're hanging the thing, and then there comes the thing about the soul void. Tell a secret, tell a secret quickly. The Fish song. Tell a secret quickly. Say a secret quickly. And soul void, right?
The secret smile. Say a secret smile.
Secret smile, right? And Soul Void, the new band name. And we all chuckle. You know, we watch it and they chuckle about it. Oh, it's just Rickon being Rickon. Oh, tell a secret quickly. And you forget totally about it. And it goes on. And then when Mark is alone with Devon and like she has a contraction or something, right? And he says jokingly, like, you know, because he's such a douche, referencing Rickon. And she's like, oh, should I tell a secret? And she's like, yeah, give me something dark, right? In the brother and sister banter that has been established and beautifully written, and it's just one of my favorite parts of the show is their relationship, right? So he's just like, oh, you know, he's like, your husband's a douche. Should I say a secret? Ha ha ha. But then they turn it around and Mark gets real serious and he starts to tell her that I think there's something up with Lumen. And just the way they built that and they constructed that little like play, like they laid the foundation with Rickon doing the Soul Void and say a secret, but then they brought it back around to something really meaningful and impactful when Audi Mark first tells his sister. So he's telling some other person who is now kind of a witness and a timestamp on these things. Because we're going to get that whole Innie Audi weird thing, especially when Innie Mark starts talking to Devon, you know, at the party at the end, right? So the fact that he tells that to her now they don't have an opportunity to go any deeper than him telling her, I think there's something weird at Lumen, right? And being all suspicious because she has a contraction or whatever and the baby comes. But I just thought the way they crafted that, setting up the telling of the secret with the kelp and the Soul Void joke and thing, and then bringing it back around to using it as a really meaningful plot thing, I just thought was great writing. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's that.
Misha, one of the nicest compliments you've ever given me is that you saw me and my sister in Mark and Devon, right? You said
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, like I think about that a lot, and it was very sweet of you to say, and it's true. I like take a lot of pride in it. And what is really true about it is that, like, if you are close with a sibling, you can say things to them that you can't say to anyone else because you and a sibling have so many secrets because you know how fucked up your parents are, and you're already keeping so many secrets.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, right. What exactly? What's one more? And I'm not saying my parents are fucked up. I'm just saying, look, all
everyone's parents are fucked up, man.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for taking it in the right way. Yes. But no, like I can tell my sister things that I cannot tell barely anybody else. So it's like when he takes her hand and she's like to give birth. It's like these moments are really good, which is weird. It's such a weird sci-fi show, and what makes it so good is it also has the good human emotion.
Oh, it's got a deeply human element. And therein lies the whole basic premise of like, you know, the humanity of the innies and how humane, the humanity, if you will. I sound like Rickon now. The humanity.
And human is really humane.
Humane. Okay. But if you're an innie, are you inhumane? There you go. That we didn't do in the first episode, the first take of this. So that's bonus content right there, bitches.
There we go. Yeah. See, I told you we'd have new revelations. Okay, so let's go back down into the Lumen floor. Helly's back there now. She rubs the makeup off her neck, and you can see the bruise. Miss Casey is now observing.
I just want to say that on that note, I hope it's not something that I necessarily think will happen, but it would be really cool if they went back and showed Audi Helly right after the hanging. Like after they get her out of the noose and they send her up the elevator, what does Audi Helly have to say about that and the whole thing? Like, how hard of a hit did Innie Helly actually land? I want to see the reaction to that punch.
Okay, we've only seen Audi Mark, right? We've seen Innie Helly.
We've seen Audi Helly at the start when she came in and had the chip planted. We see Audi Helly talking to Milchick, walking by the Lenin picture. The key to
But
Lennon picture.
beyond that, we've only seen the innies, right? We've never seen, even when we've seen any Dylan, it was when he was out. We've seen him at the office or any Dylan out. We've seen any Irving or when he was out. We've never actually seen outie Irving or outie Dylan, right?
Right.
Okay. So Miss Casey is down there to observe, give encouragement. Upon request, a hug can be given. Any thoughts on the hug?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got the same quality, and this is sort of like kind of that weird arm's lengthy, like whatever. It's like the way Voldemort hugs. Why am I blanking on his name? Who's
Harry Potter?
No, not Harry.
Snape?
What? No, not Snape. The kid, fucking Malfoy, Draco. The way he hugs Draco when Draco comes from at the final battle, he comes over and
Oh, he just
Voldemort gives him like the most. How do you think Voldemort would give anybody a hug, right? So it's that kind of awkwardness that I think is kind of encapsulated in that a hug is available upon request. It would be that kind of hug, it seems to me. Okay.
I disagree.
I think it's going to be a
more
warm squishy against those lovely breasts that we see of Miss Casey's?
Well, dude, remember the Billions hug?
That's Billions.
I think
That's not Lumen.
Miss Casey gives a Billions hug.
Oh, you think Miss Casey gives a Billions hug? Okay.
I
That's
think it's
something we can bet on. I don't think Miss Casey gives a Billions hug.
So what, you think she just comes in and goes like pat pat and walks away?
I do, because what the fuck do the innies know any better? I think it's that. I don't think it's a squishy hug. I don't think you get the sweater kittens.
I mean, should we explain what the Billions hug is?
Go ahead.
So the Billions hug, it's not a sexual thing. The Billions hug is someone that understands you so much. They talk to you. They like really understand you, and they hug you and with like a true understanding of who you are. And so like the hug is like, oh my God, I'm feeling all these emotions and letting them all out. Right? That's the Billions hug, right? Are we talking
It's
about
almost
the same
like
thing?
it's almost like the Fight Club hug, right? Where he hugs Big Bob, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Fight Club hug. Okay, except A, it's Lumen, and B, how well does Miss... What the hell is that? Is that you or me? Anyway.
I don't hear it.
Oh, then it was definitely me. Sorry. Oh, do I have to say the thing again? I'm sorry for the stain on the world. Oh, my God. I don't think Miss Casey knows them well enough to deliver that kind of hug. Okay.
Okay.
Wendy knows acts that well. Sure, she can give him that kind of hug. She knows, the people there that she's been working with.
No, Wendy doesn't give the hugs.
Wags
hires this like random woman that is a professional hugger to come in and like give you the hug you need to let out all your. You don't really remember the Billions episode.
I don't. I blocked that all out. I was so disappointed in how that turned.
That's fair. Blocking out Billions is fair. I'm not going to judge you for that.
Thank you.
But it's Wags though. You love Wags.
I do love Wags. I love everything that Wags stands for.
Okay. So now I need to explain it to you and the listeners.
Okay.
In Billions, Wags hires a professional hugger. This is a woman that comes in and it's not sexual, but she like talks to you for a little bit and then gives you a hug and you like cry. And Wags hires her to come in because he's got shit going on like Wags always does. It's a like super like cathartic release that you get from this hug.
Okay.
It's a woman. It doesn't even. I don't think it's not sexual. That doesn't even need to be a woman.
Okay. Here's why.
Is that ringing a bell?
No.
Okay.
Maybe I stopped watching.
Maybe I made it up.
But not watching it.
Maybe I'm writing my own episodes of Billions in my head.
You
Who
are.
knows?
Maybe you are. Maybe they'll be better than the other ones. All right. Well, here, nonetheless, real or not, let's use that as a benchmark. And I will say that I do not think it's that kind of hug because Miss Casey does not. I mean, she's very stilted. I think that it would be much more to the Voldemort side of the hug spectrum than the empath side of the hug spectrum. She's not empathic. It's like this weird, almost mannequin-esque, because she's dead. Let's not forget that.
We won't. We're going to talk about that.
So whatever with that, but clearly something's leaking over into...
Why does she so coldly tell Dylan no when Dylan's like, hey, I've kind of had a bad day. Can I get hugged? She's like, no. Why does he get shut down like an incel? Like, what did he do wrong? Why can't he get a hug?
Because he doesn't need one. He's not, because it's the corporate thing. It's not anything. That's not anything. It's sexual on Dylan's part, I'm sure. But on her part, it's like, no, I'm here to observe. I'm here to observe Helly. You're not the person to whom I would give a hug now. Like if they went and assigned her to observe Dylan, then she'd give him a hug if that were protocol, right? If that were
okay. So is there a Miss Casey Wendy connection? Even though that's not the hug person, but I do think there's a connection here to maybe we discussed.
Well,
is Miss Casey the Wendy?
Yeah, she's the vague analog to Wendy in that office.
Okay.
I guess that would be the closest kind of character I would say. She's wellness, yeah, mental wellness as well. Yeah, because I don't see him doing a lot of physical wellness stuff. It's all like, Irving hears about all the good stuff his Audi does and he feels good about himself kind of thing.
Okay, so here's a bet. I'll make a bet with you, but you got to give me odds here because I'm taking the long shot here.
Oh, God.
That the entire point of Lumen is to iron out office relationships. That's the entire thing. The entire point of Lumen is to figure out how we get rid of office relationships.
Of Lumen, the entire company, or the Severance thing?
I'm going all in. You got to give me like
I'll give you 100 to 1 on that, man.
Okay, 100 to 1, 100 to 1. I'll take 100 to 1. I was going to give you 15 to 1, so you already have lost the negotiation.
I don't because I have no stakes.
Oh, we'll come up with stakes. Okay, no, but so the show deals a lot with inner office romance, and like I have a little bit of stake in the game here. I met my wife at my job, so.
Did you have to fill out a form?
No, it never happened. Like, so very quickly, like we started dating, tried to keep it secret, and everyone knew, even though we were trying to keep it secret, and then it didn't matter. There was no reason for us ever to keep it secret. Like when we got married, the principals bought us gifts and shit. Okay, so, but I do think there's a lot of inner office romance content in this show, right? So like the Milchick is trying to fuck with Bert and Irving. They've taken dead Gemma, made her Miss Casey, and tried to like do an experiment.
Yeah, but that's an experiment. I don't think that's an office romance.
What do you think the experiment is, though?
You think Lumen is trying to force ship Miss Casey and Mark back together again?
No, I think they're trying to prove that even two people that were in love in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that I don't know if that's the same thing as an office romance between even Helly. Yeah, I always do that. Helly and Mark, right? Or Irving and Bert. So there's,
yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's a weird. It's a cultural critique. It's a sci-fi show, but it's also an office show, and so of course, how many office romances were there on The Office?
1, 2, 3. I already have 5.
Yeah,
that was without even having to think.
Yeah.
Okay. Irving's black paint. I don't think we've talked very much about this on our podcast. I think we keep like forgetting this every week. Irving's like, "Oh yeah, I fell asleep at work." We keep whiffing on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
A swing and a miss, as you would say.
Yes, a swing and a miss. One swing, two misses.
But so Irving is falling asleep at work because we know, listeners, we've already been warned.
Yep.
We're talking about
Spoiler.
episode 9. He is keeping himself awake at night. So, because he's trying to break the severance, he thinks that like he
thinks that like through the dream world, if he's dreaming at work, I guess, because he's trying to stay up so that he falls asleep at work, or he's trying to stay up because he knows he won't fall asleep at work, and you know how it gets when you haven't slept for 3 or 4 days.
No comment.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying things get a little wiggly. Right? So I think he's thinking maybe he can use that wiggliness to break through or to remember, or to remember. I can't remember what direction he's really trying to work it, or if there is a particular
Audi Irving is trying to like break Lumen.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying I don't know if he's trying to stay up so much that Audi starts to remember shit that Innie did, or if he's trying to stay up so much that Audi breaks and starts remembering any stuff, or the whole thing breaks or whatever. But that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's out to get Lumen as a company. Like he's got some sort of grudge, vengeance thing going on.
So I really wish I could go back in time and remember the first time I saw this episode and the black paint started falling, and trying to figure out what I thought. Like, do you have any idea what you thought the first time you saw like the black paint?
Yeah, I was thinking that
fall through
too.
The ceiling?
It looks like paint now that you know it's paint. It looks very much like paint. But at first I was like, cognitive dissonance, and your mind is struggling to make some sort of sense of it. So what's the closest thing it looks like? And my mind settled on it was like oil or something leaking through the pipes or something weird like that. And then you realize it's a dream. And it was weird, but I certainly didn't think, that looks like, paint from an easel the first 4 times I saw it.
So Irving needs Bert's counsel. So he prints out a map that will give him directions to O&D. But when he goes over to the printer, he finds this painting of O&D attacking data refinement. So that's the 626 that Milchick is intentionally.
That's up on the screen right now.
This show really does, like, when they say respect your audience.
Yep.
Like when we analyze it, this show is fucking dense. God damn it! Just like dense. Trying to explain it.
And also very subtle. They don't make anything particularly obvious. They respect the audience. They don't have to make anything stupid and hit you over the head with it, right? And they don't make things. They don't obfuscate things in a stupid Westworldian kind of way, right? Gratuitously making it harder than it needs to be to figure out. It is what it is, and what it is weird, and the way they spoon it out and the way it's written is all really, 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 really good. I
think Westworld could have been as good as this show, but they had to cater. Season 1 was, but then they had to cater to. And this is what I fear with a Severance. I've already like put a like stone case around my heart for Severance to break it.
Oh my!
Like it's
pretty bleak.
Yeah, but I've been
let down. Why do you think? Why do you think? I think Ben Stiller is very different as a showrunner.
We haven't even talked about the fact this is a Ben Stiller show. We have like not talked about that at all. Like, are you a Ben Stiller guy?
I'm a huge Ben Stiller guy, going all the way back to the Ben Stiller.
No, I'm a Jerry Stiller guy.
Yeah.
Okay, what's absolutely. The Ben Stiller? I'm a Jerry Stiller guy. Like, I like Tropic Thunder.
Zoolander.
See,
I love
I don't like Zoolander as much as everyone else. Everybody, like my wife who can hear me talking right now, I can hear her shaking her head upstairs because she loves Zoolander. I do not like Zoolander as much as everybody else. I don't like.
That's right. Yeah.
But I Tropic Thunder, I love, and he was like not just he wrote, directed, and acted in that. I think. Yeah. I think it's like he was the mastermind behind that.
Yeah. And the Ben Stiller show had some classic shit. It had 2 classic routines that I still quote to this day. So I mean, he's been good for a long time. And
but then all of a sudden he's writing a weird sci-fi show. This is like
he's exec producing it and he's directing some of it. Someone else had the idea, right? And I think
I didn't know that.
He didn't this isn't a Ben Stiller idea. Yeah,
it reminds me of the Truman Show, like when Jim Carrey all of a sudden is acting in. Mm-hmm. A fucking weird. It actually has a lot of DNA that the Truman Show.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
Okay, back to the show we are talking about. So Irving is like, I need to go see Bert. He gets 626. Sees the paintings. So he goes off. Okay, so this is. I texted you, Misha. I said that this is like the thing we missed. I think this is all so obviously a setup. I think Bert is a setup. I don't even think Bert is severed.
Well, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, I'm all about the bold statements today. I think like these pictures are meant to fuck with them. And Bert, even if you go to episode 9, when he retires and leaves, he could still just be himself and he could still just be acting. So there's nothing to disprove that Bert.
But to what end?
What? Say that again?
To what end? Why?
Because you need people down there to fuck with them.
Do you?
I
mean, do you need those people? Why not those? Why those people? Why not some other people? Why not more people? You know, I'm not so sure the whole thing is a Truman Show thing. Just to fuck with the 4 people in macro data refinement.
Well, dude, the thing they do in macro data refinement is pointless. They file some numbers.
You don't know it's pointless. It's mysterious and important. It looks pointless to you and me when we watch them do it, but that's the whole point. Now, maybe it is utterly pointless, and maybe it is all about researching how innies behave in an office environment in order to roll it out more effectively later. But I think there are things that happen that would argue against that.
Okay, well. We can very comfortably agree to disagree here because we'll just find out in season 4.
Hopefully
in season 2. Okay, so Cobell and Milchick B. Also, I think Cobell and Milchick are also pawns. I don't think they're the grand designers here. I think Cobell and Milchick are also being manipulated by the higher ups, and they are, maybe not pawns, but they're bishops or knights.
Well, Cobell is clearly made into a scapegoat as far as the failed PD thing.
Yeah. Cobell says the light of discovery shines better on virgin meadow than on beaten path.
Yes.
What is that line supposed to tell us as a viewer?
Well, I mean, that hits me as one of those stupid quotes because obviously the light of discovery shines better on a place you've never been because you're then discovering it as opposed to a place that you've already been and have already discovered. That's how I read that quote.
Okay. So, you know that scene when Bert is pacing back and forth in that room by himself and rehearsing lines to himself?
He's practicing the
And
joke.
later he says he was like practicing a joke. He was practicing lines that he was given for Irving. He was not practicing a joke.
Okay.
What do you think of that take?
I don't think so. I think that there are other departments and they do other things, and I think that there are other several people. I mean, we know it's a big deal, but it's clearly something that even in the broader society, other businesses do it, pregnant people do it. So it's out there. It's not, it's not like it's just those 4 people or the first 4 people and they need to do this whole thing for them. I think they're using it for their own purposes. Now, I'm not sure why you would sever someone who's just making art, right?
Misha, have you seen the movie The Godfather? Starring Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall.
No,
Not ringing a bell.
I heard that it insists upon itself. And
it does insist upon itself. Doesn't it? Well, let me tell you
I'm
something.
passingly familiar with The Godfather, right? Everything in the house comes to a complete stop every time we find it on the menu on TV, and boom, we're fucked for the whole afternoon or from wherever we start. We just
God damn it! I had
fucking
shit to
Godfather's
do today.
on again.
Now I gotta fucking watch The Godfather.
Gotta watch it again.
Okay, so have you heard the story about how Luca Brasi, the actor, was sitting outside rehearsing his lines, and then they videotaped it, and then they actually ended up using it in the movie? Have you heard this story?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I think is going on with Bert. Bert is pacing through the halls, rehearsing his lines that he is going to say, and later he's like, "Oh, it was a joke, a joke." How's my Christopher Walken impression? Yeah, not good. C minus? Do I get a C minus?
You get a C.
A C? Oh, a C. Okay. Okay.
I don't know, dude. I'm not. He was practicing. He was practicing what lines? He was practicing the lines that he was practicing a joke. Is that the line he was given? So here's the line, Irving. Bert, go stand in the conference room and act like you're practicing lines to a joke. And when they come up, tell them you were practicing. Is that what you're saying happened?
I'm saying that Bert is a plant, not severed, and that he knew that he was about to meet with Irving, and Dylan is right that O and D are fucks.
Oh,
and that, like,
where's my stapler?
Dude, write this shit down. Well, it's all going to be recorded.
It's all recorded, dude. It's on now. It's on video too.
It's on video. You're fine.
Although I'm deep faking it, so it's not really. Okay. So. Okay.
You get what I'm saying.
Well, I get. Yes, I get what you're saying. Yes, I get the words coming out of your mouth. Do I think they're correct? I do not think they're correct.
Well, no, I don't want you to think they're correct.
Well, then you've done a perfectly good job. You've succeeded.
Yeah. And those sheep. Oh, wait, no, not sheep.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Wow, you really got to take the smallest point you possibly can there. Okay.
Hey, dude.
I know.
What kind of game we playing here?
I know. I don't give you much.
You want to be in the NBA? Come on.
This is the big league here. Now we're on YouTube. Where are we?
We're basically at the end.
Oh, shit.
The paintings.
No. We got to talk about the paintings. The paintings.
Yeah,
All right. So I got my rant on this painting here. I'm throwing up the courtship painting. So this is the first painting that Irving and Bert walk to when they're coming down the hall from when Bert was practicing his lines in the conference room, right? And they come across
Correct.
They come across this painting of the courtship of Keir, and I believe his courtee is Imogen. I don't know. I always Imogen, yes, Imogen. So she was emo then. Now, if you look at this picture, it's super weird. Now they're working in an ether factory too, and there's much to be said about that. But if you look at the picture, it's got that Pulp Fiction suitcase quality to it. The only light in the picture is coming from inside the colander itself, inside the cauldron. whatever's in there, which I presume to be the ether mixture, in a big open cauldron, which I don't think is how they make ether. It's sitting there, and it's the glowing thing. It's what's giving light to this picture. So that, first of all, is very odd. The other thing that strikes me is that they're standing over an open vat of ether. And, ether was renowned for having some weird properties, and it gets you kind of alcohol high. And then
so to be clear, if I was standing next to it, I would probably pass out, right?
I would think. I've never done it myself. I've never done a lot of ether. I'm not that. But remember,
okay,
Hunter ethics. Okay. Yes, all the ether. Oh, dude, this party coming up in June, man. It's just going to be nothing but ether. Nothing else is allowed but ether. We're going to soak the floorboards. But Hunter S. Thompson said there is nothing more depraved as a man in the depths of an ether binge. So
yeah, that was after he met you.
Yes. So keep that in mind. So my theory then becomes that this is like in early Kier's life. That boy got some brain damage going on from working at that ether factory, and this whole like messianic cult thing that develops or everything, and his whatever vision it is that he perpetuates in order to build the lumen thing. It's all some whacked out fucking ether dream. That's where I'm going. So what odds are you going to give me on that, my friend?
Okay, so you think the ether factory actually exists? That Kier actually did work at?
Oh, I think that he absolutely did. Yes.
Okay, so it's not just Bible.
A metaphor?
It's not just fantasy.
Yes, the ether factory. No, I don't think it is. I think he did work in an ether factory. I think, like the stuff about his life is probably all, there and verifiable. There's probably, they didn't show it to us, but there's probably an ether vat somewhere in the perpetuity wing.
Yeah, so my reading more of that is that it's like the stories in the Bible, and as in none of them are true.
As in none of them are true.
Yeah, it's just the stories you create to manipulate the people that care about the story.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, I get that point, and that's certainly the case. But over the course of the time that the Bible was written, and you get to the Council of Nicaea, where they decided what was going to be included, and other books that weren't going to make it into the final cut. That was a long period of time. This here is a much shorter period of time. So what I'm saying is I'm saying, yes, you're right. There's certainly going to be a lot of what you described, but I think in this instance and in instances about stuff like Kier's life, like his house, right? They have a replica of his house. They keep everything exact. I think that probably was more real than not. I think painting it, I think taking this thing, so here's where what you're talking about comes into play. Here's what happened. Here's the history. They met in an ether factory, and they were both so out of their fucking minds on ether, they banged and had some kids and had to get married, okay? The version presented to the followers is of a glowing colander lighting them up in beautiful, warm hues, the two lovers looking, and they met. So you see what I'm saying? They took what actually happened and they glorified it. So
that pot of ether is actually just a bunch of sperm and eggs.
I mean,
they're mixing up.
It could be just fucking cabbage soup or something. It's the vat of acid. It's the fake vat of ether.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on the vat of acid. I could do 10 more podcasts on the vat of acid. Okay. Dylan finds the calamity of the macro data refinement, which is the opposite. So we have two conflicting stories, and I think this is my strongest point here is that they're being given versions where O and D did the coup. They're given versions where macro data refinement did the coup. It is just pitting it against themselves. It is all bullshit.
Okay. So I don't know. You've got two conflicting theories you're hanging on to there. I'm just flicking between the two photos right now. So, I mean, the two paintings. Right now we're showing the one where the O&D has the green. So these are the ones where the O&D are the bad guys, the guy with the knife and the guy eating the other guy's heart.
I can't see them, but I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And then we go back to the one that Dylan finds there where the guy with the knife, same painting, except he's got a blue badge. And so it's the...
They just all they change is the badges.
All they change is the badges. So here's the
thing. I think we made the joke last time that it's like, did Antifa do January 6th or like did?
No, because there's no such thing as Antifa. So I mean, it's a silly question. If O&D is a hoax, just to kind of support the Truman showing, we'll call it, of MDR, why would they bother to create this mythology to keep? They would only have to do it one way. They don't only have to have the one painting that they show to MDR to get them scared. The O&D people wouldn't need a painting. They'd know what role they have to play. They wouldn't need a painting to explain their shit, right?
No.
They wouldn't need to be controlled in the same way MDR would need to be controlled, right? They're the control. They're part of the scam. All those people in MDR are part. I mean, in O&D are part of the scam, according to your theory. So they wouldn't need to have a painting and stuff. And then all the mythology that Irving's saying about the pouch and stuff is just the party line, and all the actors know it. And if questioned, they know what to say. They don't need to go and make this painting to help convince them of this. And yet that's what happened. And the playing one against the other. I think they're playing. I think that the design is to play one against the other because they also drop. I think it's Irving drops that Keir quote about how the departments and the people are supposed to work together, or somewhere that's a thing, and now that's not the case. That's the first edition stuff that he likes.
Hang on, I don't even think we're disagreeing that much.
We're not.
But
I'm saying if it's either they're playing them off against each other, which I think is the case.
I think it's just okay. Go ahead.
Or O&D is in on it, like you said. But what I'm saying is, if O&D is in on it and it's all against MDR and nothing else, and O&D is totally in on it and they exist solely to help mindfuck MDR, like you had proposed, then I don't think they'd need that other painting that they would use to control O&D against MDR, where it's MDR doing the killing. They wouldn't need that one because everyone's in on it.
Okay, so what I will go on record as saying is I think Bert is not severed. Okay, so you don't have to agree. You just have to. If it ever comes out one way or the other, I get to be right or wrong. That's all that matters. Okay. I think he's playing. I think he's flirting with Irving.
He's definitely flirting with Irving. You're not wrong about that.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying he's doing it. He's been assigned to do it. Right? He's not like an actual severed employee that is just down there naturally falling in love with Irving. I think he's been told to do this.
So that means Lumen knows that Irving is gay.
I mean, I don't even know that Irving is gay.
You think only any Irving is gay? I just assumed that would be a quality that would be shared across the sever. But
let's table that.
Okay, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, we could go so many very wrong places with that.
Well, that's what's so brilliant about this show.
Right.
Like I've been trying to wrap up this podcast for 5 minutes, but coming up with fucking great things to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's why the show is just incredible. Okay, so actually, here's how I'm going to wrap it up. The show has opened up a million doors. Misha, I don't think you watched Lost, but I am in Lost territory.
Oh yeah, it's very.
I'm worried we have too many questions, and we're not getting enough answers. And I got really upset in the Forgotten podcast when you told me that the goats were just thrown out there randomly.
Originally the goats.
Wait, was it goats or sheep? Just kidding.
Originally, the chickens were thrown out there as sort of a Heisenberg's taco, if you will. No, Heisenberg machine gun. Heisenberg machine gun.
I am worried that the show is throwing in a bunch of questions and they're not going to be able to land the answers, because that's what happened with Lost. Lost was so good at giving you these mysteries, and then you didn't really get satisfying answers. And when we found out last week that they made up the goats randomly, I got more worried. Are you at all worried that they're gonna fuck this up?
Okay, so I'm not worried about that at all for the following reasons. I already think the writing is
That is a huge bet to make that they're not gonna.
Well, they may fuck it up, but here's why I am tending to think that they won't fuck it up in that way. Okay, they got really good writing. The show exists now after Lost, so they know what happened. There's a lot of shows that fucked up, right? That they know what happened. So they're very cognizant of that. They understand the whole new streaming media ecosystem and what it takes and the pressure that's on them. But I would also, me personally am a big fan of the David Lynch, and I don't need absolutely everything explained to me, right? There are there's certain key things, right? That you want explained. And
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
David Lynch, though, it's not about the answers. It's about the weirdness. I think Severance is a show that has promised us that there will be answers.
Okay,
Lynch never promises that there will be answers.
Well, I'm not talking about the big, right. But Lynch won't give you the big answers. I think Severance will give you the big answers. I'm just saying I don't think they have to give us every answer, because you can bet your ass there's a ton of Lynch DNA in this as well. Okay, when I heard when I first heard those cows moo and they got down there and the dude was milking them, I was like, what the fuck? This is straight David Lynch. And Kay was like, yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of David Lynch. So I think there will be things that aren't answered. But when I think about it now, I still think it's pretty tight as far as the spectrum of stuff that might need to be explained. And a lot can be accomplished. A lot of pins can be, oh, look, there's Maxie in the background. Hey, baby. A lot can be explained if they have a really good kind of macro explanation of what Lumen's up to. That will fill a lot of slots in like the shit that needs to be explained. Okay, maybe we'll never find out.
Yeah, that can explain everything. A few little things that don't explain. Fine, I'm not going to bitch about that. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they're going to leave us hanging on what Lumen is really up to. I don't think they're going to leave us hanging on that stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I guess Lost had 10 different questions that spiraled off like a family tree, but Severance, it really one answer will answer all the questions. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, let's think about what maybe not all of them right now, but some of the questions that we're talking about, and think whether, so what's going on with Mark and Gemma, and is Gemma alive or dead and stuff like that? If we find out about Lumen, that will probably be answered. Yeah. What falls outside of Lumen? Rickon. Okay. Whatever Lumen is up to probably won't impact whatever closure we get with Rickon or whatever explanation we get of Rickon. Maybe we'll find out.
I don't find out what's going on with Rickon.
I want to know how big it is, because Devon really fucking likes him, and I don't. I think they're a total mismatch, man. I think she could do a lot better. So there's lots of Rickon mysteries to be had, but I don't think finding out what Lumen is up to will tell us the answer to that. But maybe it will.
Lumen knows all.
Lumen knows all, or Lumen is responsible for all. Like, have you ever read Gravity's Rainbow?
Yes, okay. 100 times 100 because of you.
So the thing, it's like he could be like Slothrop, like from a baby. They experimented on him and they followed him all through fucking school, and they were paying his dad off the whole time, and they got him into Harvard, right? And they were always on him. They knew everything about him.
Okay, so hey, listeners, you can just fucking check out, but Misha and I need to have this conversation. So Misha, you're not going anywhere. We're going to fucking talk about Gravity's Rainbow right now.
40-hour podcast.
All right. So everybody else, you can go. All right.
But still click the like and subscribe.
Yeah. Do your thing. Do you want to do your thing? We're having this conversation.
We have the
because it's
after
been
hours.
pissing